Hi everyone, and welcome to video number 3 in our series of videos on Sass. In this video, we are going to be covering variables. First we'll go over the variable syntax, then we'll look at how to make a variable, and then we'll go into some examples using those variables that we created. So let's get started. So here's an example on how to declare a variable. All variables in Sass need to be declared in the exact same way. The format is the $, and then the variable name, followed by a colon, and then the variable value, and then finished with the semicolon. Every variable created must start with the $sign symbol. This tells Sass that you want to make a variable. The variable name is something that you, the programmer, picks. I like making my variables descriptive because when I see them later in my code, I know what that variable is for. For example, for a background color of the home page, I might call it background color home page, or a navbar color might be background color navbar. The variable value is what you want Sass to replace every call to that variable with. So if you have a variable called background color home page, the variable value needs to be a valid color. Because if you set it to 20 pixels, and you call it when setting the background color of your home page, the CSS will compile to be background color 20 pixels, which doesn't make sense and you'll get an error. The colon between the variable name and the variable value tells Sass, I want to assign this variable name to this variable value. So whenever you see the variable name, replace it with this variable value. And finally, every variable created must end with a semicolon symbol. This is a standard end-of-line termination in Sass, just like many other languages. Now let's jump into some code and look at a few examples. So I have already set up a basic HTML file. In this file, I've created 3 div containers for product 1, 2, and 3. And each of these containers have 2 paragraph elements, one with an item heading class and one with an item information class. And at the top of the page, I have an h1 element for the site name. Let's first take a quick look at what this web page looks like in the browser without any styling. You can see that we have 3 product containers and the site name at the top. Looks pretty boring. So let's add the styling page. Adding the styling page makes things look a little bit better, but still nothing special. I have already created the styling for this page without using any variables. And in this example, we will take the style page that does not use any variables and reproduce it using variables. This is the Sass code that we are going to convert to using variables. We will need to create variables for the different colors, the text align value, and the font sizes. First, let's add a comment at the top to separate the variables from the rest of the code. Let's first make a variable for the body background color. From what we have learned earlier, all variables need to start with the $sign symbol. So we will put that first. Then let's call it BG color background, where BG stands for background. Then we will put a colon so that we can assign a variable value to this variable. And we will set it to the value that's already set, 8BA1C4. And finally a semicolon. We just created our first variable in Sass. Now let's make a variable for the text align, and the value for this variable is center. So we can go through the rest of the Sass code converting the values to variables. Then we will replace the values in the Sass code with the variables that we just created. Normally you would be creating the variables as you go and using them, not creating them afterwards. But for completeness, I wanted to walk through the steps. Now that we have all the variables made, using them is easy. You can just copy the variable name, including the $sign, and paste it to where you want to use it. So for the background color of the body, when the Sass code is being converted to CSS code, it will replace the BG color background variable with the hex color code 8BA1C4. Now if you want to change the body background color, all you need to do is change the hex value associated with that variable. This comes in handy if you have multiple things on the page with the same color. Then you only have to change one value instead of all of them. Let's change the rest of them now. Let's check out the web page now. You can see that the web page looks the exact same, but this time we used variables. Let's change the background value of this web page and see what happens. Let's just set it to all white. Perfect, now the background color is all white.
Let's make the site title a bit bigger too. We'll use 70 pixels. There we are. So now we know how to make a new variable as well as how to use the variable in Sass. There is one more neat thing that you can do with variables I wanted to cover in this video. In Sass you can do math with variables. So if you wanted all the headings to be one size and wanted all the paragraphs directly below the heading to always be 10 pixels less than the font size of the heading, then you can set the font size equal to the heading size minus 10 pixels. Then if you change the heading font size, the text right below the heading will be changed too. This probably sounds very confusing, but it'll make sense once we go through an example, so let's try it out. Let's take the item information, font size, and replace it with the item heading font size, and then subtract 5 pixels from it. For this to work, you must put the mathematical expression within brackets. There we go, it worked. I'm going to make it a bit smaller so that it's easier to see the changes. That's probably a bit too small, but oh well. Now let's try this with color codes. The process is the exact same, just this time it is using the hex values. We'll set the container background color to the body background color, plus 150. So it looks like the hex code plus 150 gives us white. So let's change it to minus 150 and see what we get. There we go, now the container background color is a dark gray. That's everything I wanted to cover in this video. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you found it helpful, and share it with others if you think they could learn something from this video as well. Thanks for watching.